Welcome back to the Emirates Stadium. This is a preview of Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. It's time to rip Ange Postecoglou an absolutely new one. Yeah, welcome back to a very sunny Emirates Stadium. We're going to do a match preview of match day 4. It's Arsenal's second home game of the season. It's Arsenal against the newly Postecoglou'd Nottingham Forest. If you are new around here, my name is Charles, local Arsenal fan, bringing you the latest content from outside the Emirates Stadium, which I call home. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see what it's like being a local Arsenal fan right in the area, seeing some of the behind-the-scenes actions and the things that go on both inside and outside of match day. And wherever you're watching this around the world, let me know in the comments where you're from. A big shout out to you. Finally, we have an early 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday. It doesn't always happen for the Arsenal, but when it does, I have a good time. I'll be inside there, having the time of my life, seeing whether this Arsenal team can do what they did against Leeds and put away that form against Liverpool, obviously our first loss of the season. Last year, I made the very silly error of inviting my Nottingham Forest supporting friend to sit next to me in the stadium. Pretty much blasphemy, but luckily we got a win. This year though, none of that nonsense. I'll be back on it, hoping we can get those 3 points. Let's talk about it. Is it Arsenal we preview first, or is it Nottingham Forest we talk about? I guess Mr. Marinakis always goes first. Nuno Espirito Santo possibly unfairly sacked. He's done something that Forest haven't seen for a long time, European football. But last time out, Forest did lose 3-0 against an absolutely dire West Ham team. And I think that was the final straw. He'd been in the transfer market talking about how Forest hadn't landed the targets they wanted. And now, having seen them brought players in, I think Mr. Marinakis has said, your time's axed. And who comes in? None other than Ange Postecoglou. What? It is almost poetic how often Arsenal kick off another team's season or another player's season with like a debut goal or a random performance. And for Postecoglou's Nottingham Forest to be here at the Emirates first is quite crazy when you think about it. He's an ex-Tottenham manager and he played a brand of football that was quite attractive, but pretty bad at the back, which is the opposite, I guess, of what Forest have been putting forward for the last couple of seasons. Matt Sells has been a complete rock at the back, very similar to David Raya and competing for that Golden Glove, which they both won last season. But if Postecoglou gets his way, you have to think they're going to look more to those engines of Elliot Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White to really have an attacking midfield that are pushing forward to try and get the ball into the likes of Ndoye or even Chris Wood. The problem for Forest is Arsenal are a fairly attacking team too. Our new signings will be out of the gates looking to get goals here. And in Victor Gyökeres, the guy who got 2 goals against Leeds, I'm expecting us to really, I guess, trouble that defence. If they play in a traditional Postecoglou system, Forest will not be leaving here with a clean sheet. So what can we say about Arsenal? It's been a great international break. The players that went with their teams got goals and assists galore, including captain Martin Ødegaard, who really, he's I guess in danger of losing his spot in the team unless he starts producing more creative quality like he did, albeit against Moldova, to supply Erling Haaland. The big revelations on the domestic front, when you think about how England played, Noni Madueke, everyone is starting to get excited about him. There's even people saying it wasn't a mistake buying him for that money off Chelsea, and Chelsea have let a good one go. But also Declan Rice getting on the goals and assists for England. And I think those two syncing up, along with Eze, who was also in the England setup, you start to see the core of a midfield that can give Nottingham Forest a run for their money. Forget about how good Elliot Anderson was. He can only be good if you have the ball. And in Rice and Zubimendi feeding Madueke and Eze, I'm not sure how much of the ball Nottingham Forest are going to see. Being inside the Emirates has been a bit crazy this season. Against Leeds, we kicked off with fireworks, with fire, big player announcements. Obviously, Eze coming out to show he was being signed for the first time. And tomorrow could be the first time he gets his home debut, which is pretty exciting for everyone involved. Equally, during that international break, the women's team got to play here against the London City Lionesses, winning 4-1. And again, the atmosphere really quite high energy. Again, we saw some fireworks before kick-off, much to my kids' delight. And even though this is our second game at home, which doesn't have the same kind of excitement, I guess, as an opening day fixture, I think we'll go big again. The fans should be in their stands, early doors, having some of the new Asahi beer, maybe trying out some Willie's pies. Very good, by the way, if you're a travelling fan, try those out. Energy should be high. We won 5-0 here. Leeds, their fans were quite quiet. And if I think about what Forest brought last season and what I think Forest will bring this season, again, not the best away support in the Premier League. That's not to dig them out as such, but they're not really one of those teams that we come and worry about. They might occasionally sing about champions of Europe or some nonsense like that, but pretty much every team in the Premier League is singing that nowadays. If the crowd are up for it, and they will be, what do we need to do on the pitch with those motivated players. So let's talk through some of the injuries. William Saliba, probably out. Christian Mosquera came on against Liverpool. He did not look like a weak link. In fact, he looked incredibly exciting. And for the money we paid for him, which I think was about 13 million, he could be an absolute bargain. Watch out for this guy, very young defender, has a lot of minutes under his belt for his age, and he could lead the line alongside Gabriel tomorrow. Moving further up the pitch, I talked about Odegaard having had a good time with Norway. He's back from injury, and I expect to see him start and kick on. His link-up play for Norway was exceptional. A lot of through balls, a lot of over-the-tops, and a real understanding of a striker like Haaland, which is how I see Gyökeres kind of interacting. If he can be a bit more on it, those two could be pretty good. Bukayo Saka had a hamstring injury. There's rumours he might be back for tomorrow, but if I'm honest, I think it's a game too soon for him. So let's say Saka's out. Who plays on that right? It's probably going to be Madueke. He looked really aggressive against Liverpool. He didn't quite have the end product that was needed, but he gave a pretty tough time to their defence against Kerkez. I didn't think Kerkez could keep up with him. The big thing is whether Madueke can play well alongside Gyökeres or not. I've yet to see it. I will believe, between you and me, Madueke is in my fantasy football team this week. The big question is over on the left. There's a lot of people not wanting Martinelli to play. I personally am quite comfortable with it. I think he did okay for Brazil, and I think he's got great potential this season. But I want to see Eze starting. So let's say Eze takes that left-hand side. It's probably the only available slot on the pitch where he could play. Could this be the game that Eze announces himself to this Emirates crowd? Not just coming out and showing a bit of gratitude to the fans, but actually delivering with assists, with the goals, with that kind of entertaining football he's known for. I'd love to see it. I'd love some big goals tomorrow, and I think that is what we'll get. Elsewhere, more minor injuries. Ben White will be out again. Kai Havertz obviously is on the medics table as well. But the depth in this squad shows that we could do stuff. Will Max Downman get more minutes as a 15-year-old, which it's wild. It's not just he got a debut, but he's actually played in 2 games so far this season, and it could well be more as the season goes on. One player who had a great youth international break with Ethan Nwaneri. I'd love to see him getting the minutes because I think he's better than people realise. I think he's gone down the pecking order because of how strong the squad is. But when he comes on, he's still a teenager and he's fantastic. So Nwaneri to get minutes for me. And obviously Miles Lewis-Skelly. Does he come in at left back, or do we stick with Calafiori, who's been so impressive for the start of this season? I'm backing Calafiori. I think he's a worldie. If he can stay fit, he's the kind of player that you'd want. A classic kind of attacking European left back who just bombs on. He's so commanding when he gets on that counter-attack. And I think against Forest, no Ola Aina being in, it might be an opportunity for Calafiori to just take advantage of that. So here we are, you've joined me for a lap of the stadium. It's time for me to give my score predictions. It won't surprise you that I'm expecting Arsenal to win, and it won't surprise you if I'm going to go with a big win. Not unrealistic, but I think it'll be Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0. They may get a goal. I mean, Chris Wood, he's great in the area, isn't he? And they love a little counter-attack against us, but our defences look pretty strong so far. I thought up against Liverpool, we could have kept a clean sheet if it hadn't been for that Szoboszlai strike. Fair play to him for doing that. But clean sheet for the Arsenal, 3 goals up front. I think Forest will try to chase it after going a goal behind and will unlock them as a nice defence. It could be the start of something special this season. Never get too worried about a loss to Liverpool. We just do our thing. And these first 6 fixtures, if we could pick up 15 points, 13 points, it's all to play for. If you haven't already and you're still watching to this stage, please give a like, consider subscribing to this video if you found it useful, and let me know in the comments, what is your prediction for this Saturday? Is Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, 12:30 inside the Emirates Stadium. Wherever you're enjoying it, whether on TV or here, be good humans, do good things. Peace.